Yep. I definitely think that that's the correct decision right now. He's only on one base right now, where Smartin is on, I'd say, about one and a quarter with those resources remaining. But it does look like there's going to be a big engagement pretty soon by this watchtower.
And BlueCake did finally get his Hydras out, and he gets them up on the high ground, which is definitely a really wise play by him. But you see the fungal growth going down on a lot of those roaches, and that's really bringing a lot of their health into the red. So he luckily, burrows them, which is a pretty wise play, and he should bring them back up. And now to get the flank on his opponent would be really smart, and that's exactly what he does.
Yep, at this point, though, I just think there's too many forces for Smartin. I mean, those infested Terran are going to pop out and really do some extra damage. And it looks like all he has left are about 8 or 9 roaches at this point, while he's producing 11 more.
Yeah, and Smartin should definitely be using these infested Terran to send in and start taking out this base right here.
Yep, and we're going to see that looks exactly what he's starting to do. Popping out a few more, as leaving the Hydralisks and roaches in the back. Now, the one thing I would like to note as this battle is going on, and it's kind of a recurring theme that we're going to see throughout the rest of the game, is this idea that I would say that for most of the game, Smartin has had the upper hand economy and army-wise, and it appears that the BlueCake, while doing valiantly, is playing catch-up with the army and economy. And the problem is, if you're trying to catch up with units that your opponent has already started producing, they're always going to have an advantage on you if they keep producing at that level. Which is why I really, right now, especially with very few, if any, with no Hydralisks on the field, I would really favor a tech switch to mutas, because they can do a ton of damage to these roaches who can't attack the air.
Yeah, that really would have changed the game. I mean, he has a fair amount of resources, not as much as he did before, because he's been constantly forced to defend. But also, he should start getting some drones up at his expansion now. He did get that up finally. He's got the larva there, ready to be put to use, and he definitely should start saturating that base.
Yep, I agree with you there. And I would also say it's probably... Oh, actually, if you take a look at... if you take a look at Smartin's saturation on his natural, it's really not great. He should... I think he should take this advantage that he's used by producing more units and kind of trapping the BlueCake in to really take a second and drone up, and he could get a really big economic advantage that could just push him over the top, and he'd be able to take the game pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he does have a pretty strong economic advantage, only because he was able to snipe out this natural expansion for the BlueCake earlier in the game. But it looks like the BlueCake was finally able to hold off that attack by Smartin. But if you look at Smartin's base, he's got, over 1,300 gas and minerals. So, he definitely could have been doing a better job of producing units while he was attacking earlier. And, look at all these roaches that just popped out now. Had they popped out earlier, which he definitely had the resources to do, and reinforced that attacking army, he pretty much could have ended the game right there.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, like I said, I really would have liked to see those roaches being drones, especially with his third expansion going down there about 6 o'clock. He really would have been able to run over his opponent economy-wise, especially since the BlueCake only has 6 roaches right now as his army.
Yeah, and also, like I said, it's very easy to defend on this map if you spread your creep. So you definitely, Smartin definitely should have thought about coming down here with these roaches, taking out the rocks, and taking the gold here. It's very easy to defend, and the economic advantage you gain from that, can really put you, pretty far ahead.
Yep, and it looks like BlueCake, again, is starting to spread the creep, and he's getting grooved spines for the range increase on the Hydralisks. And it looks like there's going to be a quick concentration. The BlueCake has spotted Smartin's 6 o'clock expansion and is heading down with a bunch of roaches to go take that out.
Yeah, I really like this play. He sent his Overlord in, was able to scout it, and able to snipe it, but here comes a bunch of... wow, that's some really smart play.
Oh, and he burrows. That is great.
That was quite the juke on Smartin's forces, and, he's obviously pretty suspicious, so he brings the Overseer in and is able to finally spot the units being caught a little out of position.
Still, I would say that's a great tactical thinking on the fly by the BlueCake. I would have liked if he had started to move his units out after burrowing, but I'd still say he lost a bunch of roaches, but he was able to take out an expansion, And he does have a few Hydras right now that I do like that he's backing these up after he sees that he lost the Roach confrontation.
Yeah, if we look at the production tab, we do see that 16 more roaches just were on the way, and here they have popped out for the Blue Cake. So that is good that he is keeping a pretty much constant production of his units, but he still has the resources to do more. You know, also this expansion now just finally getting some drones out there on the minerals. So, you know, had he started that earlier, his economic advantage could have been quite more significant, and he could have had a lot bigger army. If we looked at Smartin's army, he's at 108 under 124, but he's got less minerals now. Well, I guess it's pretty close. I guess Smartin is producing, the Blue Cake, excuse me, is producing 8 more roaches. So you know, he's definitely coming back in this game. It's not going a huge advantage to either player yet.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely say at this point, the player that their army sizes are about pretty even. I would say that Smartin definitely has a slight advantage, but especially with those infestors on the field and more Hydralisks. I would like to see both players take this time, and I mean, as I've said, just take a couple minutes and drone up, and then just really let your economy skyrocket, and you're going to be able to access those higher tier units, such as the Ultralisk or even the Broodlord, which could turn the tide for either player, although neither has gone towards high tech. I lied. Looks like Smartin does have high tech, but is not producing any production buildings for the Ultralisk or even as I mentioned before, Spire. I really still believe that Mutalisks in this matchup right now could do some huge damage to whoever gets them first.
Yeah, and we do see a small engagement right there, but Blue Cake wisely pulling out after Smartin got a very superior concave around him. And on the way we see 11 Hydralisks coming from the Blue Cake while there's nothing on the production line for Smartin. So, you know, I highly recommend that he does pull out, which he does. You know, wait for those reinforcements to come, and the armies are going to be pretty close at this point.
Yep. Oh, but it looks like a little bit of a misclick. Only half of the Blue Cake's army is engaging.
Yeah, that was definitely something that he didn't really want to happen, but finally those Hydras do come in, and they do a fair amount of damage, especially with those upgrades.
Yep, Hydras have incredibly fast DPS. They're with his upgrades, they're doing 14 damage per shot, and they're shooting at a .83, which is comparable to the Marine, but doing more than 2 times the damage. So Hydras are really a great unit. The problem is, Smartin just has many more of them.
Yeah, if we see the 12 o'clock expansion, some more roaches popping out of there. You know, as we've been saying the whole game, it really would have been a good idea to tech up a little bit. And Smartin GG's. I'm not sure if that's a sarcastic GG or a sincere GG. We will see, because they are continuing to play.
I'm sure it's a sincere GG. I think at the moment he realizes that, well, I mean, he does have one more fully operational base than Smartin does, but at this point, the army size is really just so heavily actually leaning towards the Blue Cake. Nope, he just got a bunch of roaches. Smartin's reinforcing his roaches, and it looks like the Blue Cake may go in for one final push, and this may be it.
Yeah, and one thing I really would have liked to see him do the whole time, he does have the minerals to do it, is to crank out a bunch of Zerglings with your Larvite that you have. And those Zerglings can just be used to really tank damage, get surrounds on the Roach and the Hydras when you do engage. So that really could have helped them here for this final push. But we do see a base race.
Looks like we're gonna have a base race. So you know, as was the title of the email that the Blue Cake actually sent us, and a phrase popularized by Day 9, he's doing the very solid transition of transitioning into losing his whole fucking base.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty standard play in some situations where you do transition into losing the game, losing all your bases. But I would say right now, with the 12 o'clock expansion, is going to give Blue Cake a slight edge, because he can keep producing units out of there. And actually, as that is his last mining base, he should throw down some defense out here just to protect it, to give him that economic advantage for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have believed it 5 minutes ago, but I think the Blue Cake may actually win this base raid. He has many more roaches than Smartin does at the moment, and he took out his unit-producing buildings. So we may be seeing a victory from the Blue Cake if he can get this base down quicker than Smartin can.
Yeah, if you look at the army tab, the Blue Cake is still at 100 under 146, while Smartin's only at 40 under 112. So Smartin definitely looks like he's getting the worst of this, and yeah, he only has a few buildings left. So while the Blue Cake does have his 12 o'clock still running, so it looks like Blue Cake is going to take this game.
It does. He's just got to take out, I think, one extractor down, two extractors down here at the 6 o'clock position. It looks like he will have won. And it looks like Smartin's Roaches are moving out at a frantic pace, trying to find this last expansion that the Blue Cake has up.
And like I said, you know, had he thrown up some static defense earlier, that really could have helped him. You know, he didn't really need to be focusing on this attack over here on his Roaches. Just set them free in your opponent's base. You know, you don't need to micro or pay attention to that. That really could have been the game changer right now.
Yep, this is going to be really close. If he can get down these two extractors and the spine crawler before the Blue Cake can get down this last extractor, it looks like Smartin will win.
This is the last building for him, and it does go down, and that is the game. Came down to a pretty close battle, two extractors.
Wow, two extractors.
But the Blue Cake able to take it. I think really having this 12 o'clock expansion, when he did finally get it up, and you know, luckily his opponent did not scout it or did not you know, choose to harass or you know, take it out earlier in the game. He's able to take the resource advantage from that and able to produce out of that base during the base race, which really gave him that that advantage that he needed to win.
Yeah, and I'd definitely like to just kind of recap a little, go over some of the main points I think both players could have done better, because it was a great game to watch, very exciting to watch that base trade at the end. I mean, I always love base trades, they're incredibly exciting, which I said twice, which obviously just emphasizes how exciting they are. I'm just going to say it a third time. And but the emphasis of the channel is on learning, so I just like to point out a few things. Mainly expand earlier, I think could have been done by both players, as well as droning up. There were a few times when the armies were about even that I think they could have droned up, especially in Smartin's case, because he had an army advantage and was putting the pressure on most of this game. So he'd taken some opportunities, he even had a hive up, to drone up a little, get the resources to get an Ultralisk cavern down, and get some of those Ultralisks out. They really could have just melted away the Blue Cake's Roach army.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Getting the expansions really could have made all the difference. You know, this game could have been over pretty early if either opponent had taken a third. You know, especially when neither player, you know, was scouting too thoroughly with their overlords. You know, Blue Cake had pretty good placement, which I did like. He did place overlords around the map, and actually that overlord down here was the kind of the MVP overlord for the match, as he was able to find out about this expansion down here for Smartin, and he moved out and took that out earlier, so that allowed his 12 o'clock to remain, taking out the 6 o'clock for Smartin, which really gave him that economic advantage.
Yeah, and I definitely like to say it's a point you brought up. It's never a bad idea to just sacrifice an overlord occasionally for some scouting information. You want to make sure your opponent's not doing anything tricky, and I mean, they scouted expansions pretty well for the most part, but they were playing pretty blind for most of the match, considering what was going on within each player's base, which is never a comfortable position to be in.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Well, I mean, we'd like to say thank you to both players, and thank you to the Blue Cake for sending this in to be our first user-casted replay.
Yeah, hopefully you guys are finally able to enjoy the high-definition video. Hopefully there's not any problems with that. My computer is really taking 110% of the effort it has and expending all of its resources. I pretty much have to close every other program to cast this game and not fry my computer. But hopefully the high definition video is going to come out good. Well, I'm not sure which it is. I'm not an English major, but hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully the audio is better. I believe I fixed some of the problems with my microphone. I know people were saying that my voice was coming out a little too loud and a little too harsh, a little too crackly. So hopefully I fixed that. And as well as Axion, hopefully his voice, although in this game, you know, was definitely going to be a little off since he did have a head cold. But hopefully that will improve in the future. As always, let us know if you have any suggestions or things you'd like us to do. You know, we've been debating maybe throwing up some tutorials on some basic builds, but you know, if you guys have already seen them, there's plenty out there. Not something we necessarily need to do. And as always, send us your replays at getbetterstarcraft, all one word, at gmail.com. Anything else you want to add, Axion?
I mean, I guess I hope you guys enjoyed the game and just keep getting better.
See you guys next time.